Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a great achievement for me that I have a chance to deliver my research in this great conference, Techon 2021. At this time, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nati Prihartini from Politeknik Negeri Sambas, or State Polytechnic of Sambas in West Borneo, Indonesia. This research is focused on requirement model to optimize feature selection for web-based e-learning on learning management system or LMS. This research will be related to this condition right now through the pandemic of COVID-19 when we need to adapt the system to the e-learning base to support our learning. Web development is analyzed by type of build-up application, web classification model, and web requirement analysis by Aguilar in 2011 through several kinds of learning by Scopizon Crane and Coles in 2018. Analysis from detailed requirements becomes very important in web development to meet stakeholders' expectations and set codes from rebuild process by Chaula and Srivastawa in 2014. Requirement engineering passes generally include elicitation, modeling, analysis, validation and verification, and management by Cheng and Adley in 2007. So at all, this research focuses on discover the goal of web-based e-learning at elicitation pass, modeling appropriate specifications, and the compositions of requirement logical to support the feature selections in LMS pass. Elicitation at the first need to be defined by using the two approach by using the strategic dependencies or SD and strategic rationale or SR. And in SD session, we need to define the web e-learning aspect representation by using the notations of I-star modeling. The first is the pedagogical aspects. We need to use the requirement goal notation and research notation. And then the second one is the technology foundation or technological support. We need to use the notation of soft goal and task. And the third is organizational issue by system actor, and we need to use this notation, the circular one. Every notation defines all the aspects of web e-learning. At this aspect, we could see that some of the grouping will deliver the aspects and support the aspects by the dependencies of each actor. The dependencies will be described in detail by using the strategic rationale or SR. In SR, we need to analyze goal and aspects of requirement compliance in each actor scope, including LMS characterizations. So the actor will have the detailed tasks, and all the detailed tasks by every actor in the system will have the dependencies each other to support the three aspects. We use the first step of elicitation. We need to have the requirement logic modeling to help us to find the right requirement that support our web learning system. So in this web requirement classification model, we talk about two approach in functional requirements and non-functional requirements. While in functional requirement, we talk about the data requirements, and then we talk about the navigation requirement, we talk about the interface, we talk about the personalizations, and then we talk about the transactional requirements. All the requirements will be detailed in every part of the composition, and it will be help us to find the right features that support each requirements. And from the non-functional requirements, we have a quality requirements such as the performance, functionality, and then we have a reliability and usability. We have another efficiency, and then we have the maintainability and portability. These quality requirements will support all the systems. And then we need to combine it with the web modeling aspect that already been discussed in the latest research to support us to decompose the right requirement that supports our feature selection. And then we come into the requirement model decomposition task. In this session, we need to have decompose all the requirements by see the functional and non-functional requirements, such as in content requirement. We need to see from the three aspects of web e-learning, such as in pedagogical and then the technological and then the organizational. All this flow will give the associations from each task, from the data management until we provide a learning object and store it. These requirements need to be filled to support our system and find the right feature that support these requirements. And then the interaction requirements, such as in the first, in the content requirement, and navigation requirement, we need to define it all from the interface and then from the managed links and others. And another one is in functional requirement. It's such a quite complex because we need to see from several aspects and its relations, like how association or full associations. This requirement need to be filled to support the functional requirement. And then from the transactional, we need to find the right requirements to fill the content management system and the access of database. And then we have to decompose again the configuration requirement from the non-functional, like a functionality and reliability. In this task, we have some kind of detail from every part, like in functionality, we need to think about the interoperability and the system interactions. And the reliability, we need to describe it all and see from the web e-learning aspect too. And then the usability and efficiency has the same way to define it. And all this notation in the composition task of the model requirement model composition is using the SysML notation or system modeling language notation, maintainability and portability. And after all those tasks, until we decompose its requirements, all the identified aspects from web-based learning component are used to frame the requirements systematically through the proposed requirement model of web-based learning. This research denotes that classification of web-based learning requirements in functional and non-functional can be related to web requirement focus to establish the requirement logical model, elicit a requirement based on the system needs that can help the system developer to use the right features of LMS Based that support the learning process. The purpose model can be decomposed for future elaborating system with requirement categorization in LMS area. The composition of requirement logical through system modeling system or system modeling language notation successfully map the relationship between web-based learning in functional and non-functional. And this purpose requirement model can help feature selection that fill the needs in LMS development and can relate it into requirement engineering to evaluate the stress all requirements that identified towards web-based learning research area. It will be useful as an insight to identify the basic requirements and feature selections in developing of web-based learning. That's all the research that I can deliver in this conference. Pardon me for the mistake, and I hope that it will be useful for giving the insight in learning management system. Thank you for all the attention and see you in another session.